Approve, disapprove the minutes of the Equalization Board meeting July 17th, 19th, and 23rd. I've signed those.
I've looked at both of them myself. I move we approve them.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Discussion and review evidence presented or omitted at the hearing that was held on July 19th, 2024 regarding Targa pipeline.
Okay. I remember what we were discussing, and I went through this stuff thoroughly after the fact. Are we on film? Okay. All right. I went through after the fact that both parties here, on task as well as Andrews, they expect us to look at this thing and make a decision on behalf of Jerry. This guy did not offer us any evidence. Look at that right there.
That's being added to our.
Specifically, I'm looking at the income factor. When we asked him, are you taking the assessed value, the purchase price, the cost, as well as the income level, and using that to come up with your numbers? He said yes.
There's no evidence, sir.
No evidence whatsoever there. What he said was, utilization and income. And Jerry used this, goes back to cost. The cost of the product. All right, here's the problem. We did not have the opportunity and time to go over this. I want to first start with this right here. What he did is he listed every wellhead that is in Woods County. Alva's district, Winoka's district, everything. And here's an example. I'm familiar with the Winoka area, but he lists all the meters, and he starts out with like a 2-inch meter on the first. I am on. I don't know if it's pages. Oh, 30 of 53. Okay. I want to find 2 examples here instead of just one. If you look in the middle of that on line 2, well, it's in the middle, it's Christie 1-4.
On page 30 is what?
On page 30 of 53. The middle of that, in the middle of that page, you'll notice Christie 1-4.
Okay.
Okay, they list that as an initial cost of that wellhead, that meter runs, about $20,150, and they're listing it at $1997 when that was put in. Okay, and then we're deducting the depreciation, and it comes down to the value of that is $1,896. Okay. Now here's the problem. That well's no longer there. It's done. No meter. Well, why are they carrying it on, why is Task carrying it on here? Because they don't know. They haven't gone out there to look. And I went through here, and there's a lot of meters. The Joyce on page 23 is no longer there. The Woolly Post, no longer there. Down in the, and on page 22, the first one on the top, it's the Bixler, Edsel number 1, no longer there. No meter, no nothing. So why did they list this? The reason why they did is because those meters represented a location, and there is a line that goes from their main line out to that meter. They do not want to give up the easement on that line. So that's why they allowed this. It's cost, I don't know what the tax rate is on, for instance, on the Bixler of $1,896. I don't know how much you pay in tax on that. But that's insurance for them to keep that line active rather than to abandon it and take it off the tax roll. That's why they're keeping those on there, because number one, they don't have to go get another easement if they drill another well in there, because they already got a pipeline sticking out there in the middle of your section. And also, they use it to store gas. It's storage for them. And if you want to dig a post hole or something like that, you're supposed to go get clearance that there's no pipeline there, and on and on and on. They don't want to take them up or destroy that easement, because then that becomes an abandoned line, which means they can pick it up, or it's owned by the owner of the surface. That's why they do not take these off record.
So you're saying the wellheads aren't there?
Wellhead's not there, no locations there. The only thing is out there's a pipeline, and this thing is full of them.
So they're submitting false information?
Yeah. But this thing is full. There is no wellhead there.
They pull the anchors, they've
Pull
done.
the meter, you couldn't find
Far right over top.
nothing. Yeah. And there's a lot of them in here.
And they listed on there.
Yeah. Okay, now what I'm saying is Jerry picked this up. All of these are based on 1997, and apparently that's when Targa bought the system from Atlas. Okay? So, that was the beginning value in 1997. Now, some of them in later dates are in here in the 2010s, and they've been abandoned, and there is a whole bunch of wells that I'm familiar with that have zero, nothing, no meter, no nothing. But they're keeping it on the road so that they can keep the easement on those pipelines.
And it may or may not be employed elsewhere, being used elsewhere, the wellhead.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so that's what I found in Jerry's report. They supplied him with all this stuff that we're supposed to know, and we don't have a chance to go through this and say anything. Well, you gonna know that the Christie well is not active anymore?
Not me.
You're not gonna know it. Neither is the assessor.
Well, the company, no, they'll know it.
The company knows it,
Yeah.
but Jerry's not gonna know it, because he's taken their stuff and say, well, this is what we bought in 1997, and so these are all the lines and these are all the meters. Well, now why is that important? Because they're going to come back when they went to the income status of how they evaluated their assets today. They went and said, well, we've got 3,000 wells in Woods County. So, and we're making this amount of money over here, and we've got 3,000 wells, and so you're taxing us on those wells. We're not making any money on 3,000 wells, when in essence, they probably have maybe as many as 1,500 wells that are producing, that come to the realization they're making money on 15 wells, or 1,500 wells, rather than on 3,000 or 4,000 wells. So they're diluting their expenses. See what I'm saying? Okay, so one of the
Shows
questions.
them not making very much money.
Exactly. That is exactly right.
Gaming.
The gaming
somehow
the
the
system.
gaming system. I mean, you just.
Yeah. So, you're right. So this, and then that plus the fact that they're holding the easements on those right of ways. And they're using that for storage as
Well,
well.
the easement, that's not our concern with what we do. But diluting their income is a big
Yeah.
concern.
Yeah,
We should be really concerned with that.
Yeah, and if they're submitting that erroneously, how accurate it, or Jerry, or whatever.
Yeah.
Is there a deal in the contract with Jerry, Shelley? Is there any kind of contract with Jerry that they have to visually inspect them every so often?
I don't know what's in that contract. Renetta would know.
yeah.
What's in the contract.
Well, there's a bunch of them here. I wasn't familiar. The Alvis District 1's got way more wellheads than what we got in District 3. So I'm assuming that's the deal. Now, let me go back and explain a little more. There is a meter charge for an active meter. And I'm going to go to the income level here. There is a meter charge for every meter that's producing gas into their system. In my contract, one of them is, okay, the first $200 that you get is of the value of the gas. In other words, if I don't produce $200 worth of volume, and I'm $199, I don't get anything. If I'm $205, I get paid for $5 worth of gas, because they take the value out of that meter run. So it's important that we know how many active meters they've got, rather than the old list in 1997. Because if we're going to ask them, we want to know what your income is on that plant, the Target plant down here at Winoka. We want to know what your income is on that plant. How many active meters are you charging $200 for? So that gets to the point of, we want to know what your income stream is in the Woods County meters going through that plant. They have no expense, none, on the processing of that gas. And the reason why is they only pay 98% of the volume that goes through that wellhead meter to start with. There is 2% that is not paid for, because that goes for compression on first and second level. All right, that means that they don't have any cost for gas that they use in their compressors on the first level, which would be like the Liberty booster there, and then the second level would be the Winoka booster there. They have no expense on that gas. They can't come in and say, well, we've got our plant requires gas for us to, compress, but they took that out. They only pay 98%, and that's standard. Okay, so there is no cost of them compressing the gas. The only cost they have is the equipment, which we're assessing. All right, then another part is they own the pipeline. This says,
Bless you.
okay, go ahead.
No.
Oh, they say, well, all of these lines that we have are 4-inch steel, plastic, and on and they list these. Well, yeah, they own the line. But they also charge at the wellhead, they charge transportation costs. The price of the gas that you get at the wellhead is based upon transportation costs is usually taken off. And so who gets the transportation cost? It's Target. And right now, if I remember right, the last one I knew was 65 cents a thousand cubic feet of gas to transport it to basically Haven, Kansas. And that's where supposedly they sell, Target sells the gas in mainstream at Haven, Kansas. Okay, they take it from the wellhead to the booster station, to the plant, and then from the plant, where do they go? Because that's all in Woods County. Where do they go? There's two options. They can send it to Haven, Kansas immediately, or they can put it in storage. My question is, who owns the gas when it gets to Target, to the, when it leaves this plant out here, Winoka plant? Who owns the gas? My check, when I get from Target, who is my purchaser, my check comes from them directly. So they own the gas from the time it leaves the wellhead to whenever. They can take a BTU factor, or they can strip liquids. First one, tell you what the BTU factor is. If it's, for instance, 1,000 BTUs, that's methane gas. But most of these wells are 1,100, 1,125, which is 1.5% more BTU. They pay me, on some contracts, they pay me for that added BTU. So if gas is $1 and I've got 11.25% BTU, they pay me $11.25. Okay. There are other contracts that's very popular is they strip the liquids. And I don't know, Bob, you may not be familiar with what we're talking about. Right there, this is where they strip the liquids. There's the gas, that's going to be the methane gas that goes down the pipeline that OG&E and everybody else buys. Then the oil, if there happens to be any oil in the well, I get paid for that. And then the liquid, that's the part they pull out of the gas. And they strip that gas at that unit over here. They strip it at the Winoka unit. I'm looking and I'm saying, okay, you didn't pay me at the wellhead. This is a non-operated, I don't own any operations in that well. That's just one I got royalties in. But they sell on a stripped product. Okay, they strip it at that plant out there. And I'm going by there all the time, and there are tankers that go in, and they're pressurized tankers. They go in, pick up their product, and take it wherever. And I'm sure the Target is selling that gas because they're the one who bought it at the wellhead. My next question is, I want to know the income stream off of those liquids right there. And that occurs out there. It comes into their plant, they sell it, it goes down some truck somewhere. That's an income stream that they're not telling us about. Now, when we come to the income level that they chose to use right here, and they chose this, it wasn't us. We could have assessed them on the purchase price minus the depreciation, or we could assess them on, there's three ways. We could assess them on like sales of other plants like this, or the income, and they chose to go income. Now they're going to scream when we say we want to see your income off of that plant and off of your transportation and off of your meter charge. They're going to, the guy already said, that's confidential information. No, it's not. It's not confidential. Because I know what they charge per meter, so it's not confidential. Every producer in the system knows what their meter charge is.
Confidential for the purposes of the meeting.
Well, maybe, but we're dealing with the property in Woods County. I'm not dealing with what does Target make overall. And if you notice right here, they said, okay, we have reached agreements with other counties. Major County, we made 2 settlements with Major County, Grant County, who have a similar, situation as you do. Okay, did they tell Major County and Grant County how much money they made in their county? Oh, probably not. They lumped them all together, I'm sure. Their whole system is lumped together as to what their income stream is. We're not interested in these other counties. But they appear in his documentation here to say, well, all these other counties are part of it, we've settled a couple of them. Well, those counties, all they may have is meter and transportation funds. They don't have the plant out here, which is where they start collecting additional income. And they've got assets out there to strip this gas, and they're saying, you can't charge us for all that. So that's what they're saying. So when they're looking here at utilization and income, utilization is they bring in more gas from other counties and other places into that system, and they strip the gas from them at that particular plant. And I want to know what their total income is for what they strip out, because they strip gas coming from Major, Alfalfa, all over the country. It goes into their system. Ellis County, the whole bunch goes in there. And they're making money on stripping the gas that they're bringing in from other counties. I want to know what their income in Woods County is on their process of stripping the gas, because I know it comes in, they own the gas and they sell it. They sell that product when it's going down the road. Somebody's buying it. When that happens, that's an income stream, and they're not telling us what their income stream is on this at all. Zero. And they're not telling us their live meter. They're not telling us the transportation charge that they're charging for Woods County transporting the gas from my wellhead to them. They're not telling us that.
They are with the screen.
Yeah. The next thing is that who owns the gas? Some of these companies market their own gas. Some of them do and some of them don't.
I thought Target was just a midstream. All they do is transport.
All right, you're touching on what could get very sticky. When they pay me, I get the check from Target.
See, I don't. None of mine do.
Yeah, but I'm an operator.
Okay.
See, they pay me, and it comes straight from Target, so I know what the operators, how they're functioning. Some of them, if you notice on some of your checks, there will be a marketing charge against your volume at the wellhead. Now, if, let's say, Sandridge or somebody markets their own gas and they own ownership of the gas rather than Target, if they own ownership of it, then your wellhead cost usually has transportation taken out of it. And you're not only getting paid 98% anyway. Your transportation's taken out of it. You probably have a marketing charge against it. You get gross production tax comes off and some other federal stuff. If you look at your stuff.
Look at it close.
Yeah. So.
Minor plus the 200.
Yeah. They take that 200 in volume. And if you want to run through the numbers, those, if the price of gas is up here, it doesn't amount to a whole lot of volume, but if the price of gas is down here, it can be half your product. If your wellhead volume is low, it can be half. All right, the next thing, you brought up a question here is they're not supposed to own, the transporter is not supposed to own the gas. That's what deregulation back in the late 1979s and then 78 and 79 is all about. That's why Panhandle used to have ownership of all the gathering and the transportation and everything. And the federal government made them sell off the transportation and processing part. When Panhandle had it, they had everything. Then came along Western, and then Westana, then Atlas, now Target. And so they're not supposed to have ownership of the gas if they're transporting it and they're buying it and transporting it and then selling it at the other end, which would be Chicago, Detroit. That's why it goes to Haven, Kansas, because that's the main distribution. Now, I said this could get a little sticky because most of their gas right now out here, you know where that goes? Goes to the Hopeton storage field. So now who owns it when it goes into the Hopeton storage? Is it Target? Because they bought my gas. I'm assuming my gas is part of it and it goes into the storage field. Or it could go down the line and they sell it immediately. If the market is good, they sell it immediately into the Haven transportation system. But let's say it goes into storage and they own it. This one is May gas, and the value is $1.29. That's methane gas, $1.29. That's cheap. That's dirt cheap. If you've got an OG&E bill, you'll be looking at about $6. Okay. If they're storing $1.29 gas in Hopeton and knowing that there's a better market somewhere down in the next 6-7 months, that was what our lawsuit to begin with Monica was all about. Who owns that gas and do they make money? And if they're making money, they pay tax on that because that's business. Understand what I'm saying? So this thing could get pretty sticky. I mean, we could be looking at problems down the road of getting into a battle here. But it all deals with who owns the gas when it goes through that system out there. And if another party buys it as a means of making money, then the Hopeton field that we had the lawsuit over many years ago would actually, be taxable on that profit margin. So my question with these people here is I want to know who owns the gas when it comes to you, and when you strip it and you take those liquids out, I want to know what your profit is, because you're the one who did it in Woods County. And you're the one who charges transportation to your plant, and you're the one who charges meter. These three things we need to know. We do not know now, because this thing told us nothing. Now, if I look at this book right here, it says we take evidence, we can subpoena the witnesses, we can look at their taxpayers' books, records, and papers. They're going to say, you guys can't do that. We can. Because they're in Woods County, I want to see their records out there. We can raise or lower the property tax. Now, we don't know. We already decided $130 million. But what happens if they protest it? Then we submit what we've got right here on film as evidence, because we're the fact finders. It's not Oklahoma City. It's not the three judge people. They're not gonna find, they're not gonna look, they have no clue what's on here.
I suggest what will happen is, rather than give us that information, we'll immediately sell it, $130 million.
Yeah, could be, very well.
I would say,
You might be
Slam
spot
dunk.
on. You
I
might
say
have
slam,
something.
slam dunk.
Because these would be issues, thanks to you, that are raised probably not in very many counties.
Well,
This
not
could
very
be a
many
hush up
counties.
settlement.
Not very many counties that have a Chris Olson order, he knows all this.
Amen.
Well,
Nice work, Bob.
the problem is, when they sell it, there'll be a new value. And I don't know exactly what syngas is out there, but they do exactly the same thing as Target does, but they're an identical plant. They protested a little bit, but they didn't follow through, so they assumed, and we didn't see any of their stuff, but they assumed that, you know, they're not gonna protest. Or they didn't bring it to us. Now, if the documentation that they present is not based on income, but it's based on the evaluation of the property or like value the plant somewhere, well and good. Okay, that's a plant then that we could compare them with Targa, who's belly aching about income. So, you know, they're doing the same thing. They get gas, Syngas gets gas from the north, they get some from the south, and they get a lot from the Canton area. That's why they put the big pipeline in out there. They get a ton of gas from them. So there is competition between people that's gathering gas and processing it and putting it in storage. There is competition there. But when they say we don't want to give our product, we don't want to give our information to our competitor, they're talking about people like Syngas right down the road, which is within a mile and a half of us.
So we need to subpoena their,
Income stuff.
you worded it, so we can.
Yeah. Okay, my suggestion is, could we wait to see if they're going to carry this on to the district or the court in Oklahoma City, which is, if it's 30 days from
The 19th.
July, that will be middle of August. If they choose to go with this, 130 million that our assessor came down to, if they choose to go with that, then let's issue what could end up being the subpoena. Because I know they're going to protest. They're not going to want to give us the income off of the target plant. They're not going to want to do that. They're not going to want to give us the active meters in Woods County. They're not wanting, but yet all of this should be public information.
Publicly traded company, I would assume, Target?
Yeah. Yeah. So they can't contend that this is private stuff, because if Jerry done his work, we would have known the active meters here, so that we could drop this down and they couldn't use all of the 3,000 meters for the expense write-off.
Well, how would he know that? How would he get that information? Actually,
Be very good. He'd have to do a lot of footwork.
not a lot, tremendous.
Yeah, yeah. They know this.
Well,
They know all of this.
with the volatility and the way things change, shut in, shut down, whatnot,
Yeah.
you almost have to, and I'm not picking on Jerry, but you almost have to have some level of inspection on a,
Well, the company would have that information, they know which ones are,
Exactly. If they know how many meters they got, they know what their volume is, and they can tell you where that volume comes from.
guaranteed.
No question. You push a button on their system and they're gonna know.
Can you not get that information for Corporation Commission, don't they have to report that wellhead
Yeah,
volume?
yeah. When it goes to the Oklahoma Tax Commission, which collects the tax. I mean, I go down
So
there.
could we not go there and get active well?
Probably not. I don't think, no, I don't think so. I don't think they probably don't have the information put together so they could package it, but Target does.
Is all this information provided by tax?
Yeah,
And
well,
did they originally, was this created from their homework?
no,
It was created from what they were providing.
yes,
So
that's exactly correct. Yeah, exactly,
that's an issue, I would imagine, 77 county actresses.
yeah.
So what do we need to do today?
Well, I suggest that we as a board send a letter to both this guy right here, which says he's the rep for this, as well as straight to Target's headquarters, that we want to know, because their information is not sufficient for us to make a judgment here. We want to know what their income stream is in Woods County. Identify it. That's what we want to know. What monies did you generate? Because you're the one that chose the income part of this. We want to know what your income stream is. We want to know what your expense stream is. So we can tell whether or not, your value has gone down. You see, if they're saying their volume is down, that doesn't mean anything, because they can raise the cost of transportation. I mean, they can raise their cost to what they offset the wellhead price with. They can raise their cost. They're making money. If they've got 2,000 wells and they're making $200 million, and they drop down to 1,500 wells, they can just raise their price and they're still making 200 million. See what I'm saying? They have that ability to do that.
So we'd send it to Nolan and the CFO of Target
Yes.
to his attention.
And we identify, we want to know the income that you received from your assets in Woods County since you opted to go with the income level on this.
Okay, we need a motion.
Yeah, we need a motion to send a letter, and we'll draft that letter.
Since you're doing that, you need to make a motion.
I move that we have the board make a motion to request, to start with, request income and volume from Target on their operations in Woods County only.
They're active.
Yeah, their active operations in Woods County only. And,
Second.
okay, second, and then we want to know what, because they're going to say, yeah, we got expenses. We want to know what their expenses are. Now, I'll help you write that letter, Shelley. But another thing I'd like to know is if we go to
Well, we got a motion, we need to.
go, yeah,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
all right,
Motion carries.
okay. Another thing I'd like to know on that, in our letter that we addressed to them, I want to know if you've got an insurance policy on that plan out there.
They're not gonna tell you that.
No, but if we go to the value of the plant, which is what they used here, if they're insuring the plant for a replacement cost, would that not be an easy way to say, well, you think it must be worth this amount of money?
Those big companies are self-insured.
Well, they may be, but I'm going to guess they've got some insurance on this plant. I'm going to guess they do. If they were to have to replace what they've got out there, it would be 10 times the value of what's on here.
Oh, yeah.
you know. The only way you can lower that cost is to sell the plant to somebody else. Now we get into the competitive part. If you sell this plant to another company and they pay for the 277,000 or 277 million that we originally had, on Jerry's estimation, if they sell it for 300 million, well, you know what the value is.
Yeah.
You start the 1997 number again. See what I'm saying? So the value that they have on that, if they sell it, is going to be much higher than 277,000 or million that Jerry originally said it was worth. So if we have an insurance policy that says, we got a replacement policy and it's $2 billion. Okay. You know, their option is that, like you said earlier, they're going to sell it. We can ask, they're not going to give it to us. The next step is, if they don't give it to us, then we subpoena them. I want to do it in a letter to start with so we don't trip anything before the 30 days is up.
Agreed.
We don't trip it. But after that, if we've asked for confirmation of what their income is and they don't give it, then we subpoena, because we've got the right to subpoena records here.
And I'll put that motion under that, where it says discussion action regarding the subpoena. I put that you're doing a letter instead of the subpoena.
Yeah, and a subpoena to follow if we don't get the information.
Yeah, that statute's pretty clear.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, we have to word that so that, your letter, so that it follows the agenda.
Yeah.
So we would send
A letter instead of the
a
subpoena.
letter requesting this information.
And if we don't obtain the information, then
Then we'll.
we exercise the subpoena.
Exercise the subpoena, yeah. And that makes it legal.
Yeah.
Or,
And we won't have to, if we got to close this session right now and can't reconvene in next year, then that covers us to get the information.
That was my next question. Do we have to adjourn this thing today?
My understanding is yes.
Okay, so what do we do if they won't do anything? We need a subpoena. We're done. We can't.
Yeah, we're done, but we've got a notice on our action today that will allow us to issue a subpoena on what we asked for.
If we can't do anything because we've had to adjourn our meeting, we can't extend it.
Well, that's why I want to include the fact that we can, in this motion, if we don't get the information that we asked for, then we can subpoena them.
We can't read, if we do subpoena it, so what, we can't meet?
No, if we
The
just,
excise board can meet, but the equalization can't meet.
yeah.
So what's the point? I mean.
Well, can we meet, be a legal question, can we meet for next year's? Because this is going to be carried into next year if they protest this.
Okay, I'm just, it's a lawyer deal for me.
Yeah,
You have to ask them, because it's a concern.
Yeah.
Because we can't, if we can extend this thing again, then it'd be a slam dunk. But because we have to adjourn it, I just don't know what the law, I don't know, I'm not a lawyer,
I'm not either, but I was just thinking, if you were able to obtain the information, then next to April, when we open the session, you would be able to have a meeting to
we
review.
might, I think we can do
You
that.
would
Yeah.
have,
Yeah.
because you would have the information.
Yeah.
Then we can
So
reconvene
then you would
next
be fine.
April, we can address that information then.
But if they don't provide this information, because if they choose to protest this to the three-judge court,
They're not going to. I don't think.
I think they're gonna settle,
Yeah.
or try to settle with Renetta for splitting the baby at $100 million. I think that's what they're gonna offer. But if I were Renetta, and that's not us, because we've already made the decision, if I was them, and if I was the school people, and if I were the county, I'd say nothing, do it. 130 million is what we agreed, that's what it's gonna be. But if they don't wanna do it, then this extends it into next year.
Okay.
So, I'm just trying to get the information on record this year before we adjourn.
We voted yes.
Okay.
Now, this will be interesting. This could go on and on and on,
Yeah.
or this could be, as you mentioned earlier, yeah, here's a check. Here's money. We agree with that.
That is good, that's 130 million. We'll take that anyway.
Now, the next thing I would have as a suggestion is we have a problem with the dates. The March 15, it says starts the ball rolling, and we end up in the middle and late July before we can do this. I'm suggesting that we, as you can say an equalization board or taxpayers, and I would say taxpayers, bring this attention to the Attorney General and say, we have got to change this process because our responsibility is to be fair to every taxpayer in this county.
It's the legislature that sets that.
Yeah, it is, but it's probably the Attorney General that will look at it and he's friendly. He is friendly. It will probably be the Attorney General that will say, yeah, there is a problem here, and make a ruling of some sort. I don't know how all of this timing goes. I think, like you say, it's probably legislature. But he can make a ruling that says this is unfair.
I bet you we can get an audience with the Assistant Attorney General of some sort.
Well, I bet we can get an audience with him. Yeah, because when he was down at the courthouse earlier, we caught, Renetta and I caught him out here, and we drilled him. Well, was you with us?
No, I wouldn't.
I wasn't.
We caught him, and we spent about an hour with him before he went out and did his thing. He was basically, he's campaigning for governor.
Oh, yeah, they're good.
You know, no doubt about it. But he was very knowledgeable, and he works with problems like this. And the problem is the timing with the legislature. And I think we are not, my approach to him would, we are not treating our taxpayers equally and equitably if they can do this and they can't. And that's, as a taxpayer, we're sitting here saying that's wrong. Can't do that.
See what happens.
That's my opinion, is that we talk to him and tell him our situation, as you know, the excise board not being able to render decisions equitably and free and fairly to all the taxpayers, and I think he'll listen. So, well, that's my suggestion. I'll have
Couldn't
to
do
write that
without you,
letter.
buddy. Seriously.
Yeah,
We could, I wouldn't have a clue where to start. I move we adjourn.
I'll second that.
We need to adjourn the extended session.
Move we adjourn the extended session of the Equalization Board.
I agree. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Are you got it?
Mary Ellen, you